I call this meeting to order. This is a public hearing of our Independent School District 659. Today is Monday, November 10th, and the time is 5:15. I will now read the procedures for our public hearings. It is the policy of the Northfield Board of Education to obtain as much information from as many sources as possible prior to making decisions. In order to assess public attitude, the board will schedule public hearings, the purpose of which is to take public testimony from members of the school district on issues under consideration by the board. Every effort will be provided at a public hearing for all points of view to be heard and considered. To that end, the board has adopted the following procedures. 1. Individuals wishing to address the board shall be recognized by the board chair prior to speaking. 2. Each speaker will state their name prior to making comments. 3. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes unless the limit is waived by a majority vote of the board members present at the beginning of the hearing. Vice Chair Corey Butler will help keep the time. 4. Questions for clarification are appropriate, but debate of issues is not. Okay, I will now invite Daryl to come up and review the outcome of the 25-26 Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness Plan. Welcome, Daryl.
Thank you. Am I limited to 3 minutes? I think that would be tough to do. Okay, so I'm going to try and go through. There is quite a few slides here, quite a bit of information. So I'm going to try and go through relatively quickly. So if you need me to just slow down, just let me know. Or if you have follow-up questions, let me know. So I have 3 presentations. The first is the results of the 24-25 CACR, or Comprehensive Achievement and Civic Readiness Plan, formerly known as World Best Workforce. So that's the first one I'll go through, is the 24-25 results, where we ended up with our goals. And then I'll go over the 25-26 current year goals. And then the last one is the Achievement and Integration presentation. So that's A&I money. So I'll go through those 3 presentations here tonight. So the first slide, just grounding ourselves in the vision. So we prepare every student for lifelong success by developing critical thinkers who are curious and ready to engage in our society. So as we go through these presentations, you will see that every student is thought of and thought through for how these goals pertain to each of those students, as well as the benchmarks. So you'll notice we're going to hit on quite a few benchmarks today as we go through, because there's quite a range of student level that will be addressed through the CACR and the A&I goals that we have. This is just a reminder that it was changed in 2024 legislation to CACR instead of World Best Workforce. So you probably won't see this again, but just I think it's a good reminder of what that was for many years. So this is the equivalent of that. So the first slide, just a reminder again, what role does the school board play in this process of comprehensive achievement and civic readiness? So there's the statute that I just put in there. It is to ensure community members have an opportunity to participate. So as we go through this, I'll make note of Northfield Forward is how we use that group to participate in this process. So I'll mention that when we're going through of how that kind of played out. And then the other 2 recommendations to the school board concerning rigorous academic standards. So the CACR has 5 focus. Those are here. We'll go through the goals. It's the same 5 as last year as it is this year, but the goals slightly changed. So we'll go through that. As we go through, you'll notice which area of 5 that we're talking about. So the first one, all children ready for school. That's the first goal. And the goal last year was 72% of incoming kindergarten students will meet the grade level benchmark for the fall 24-25 FastBridge assessment. So FastBridge is the tool that we use to see readiness for the kindergartens. And the result, they're all formatted the same way. So the circle is the goal of the year. The box to the side, bless you, is the results of that goal. So for the first one, 85% of kindergarten students met the grade level benchmark. So we did meet this first goal. The second, all racial and economic achievement gaps between students are closed. And so again, the circle, the attendance rates is what we were looking at for achievement gaps for this last year. Attendance rates for FRP and students of color will meet or exceed the rate of non-FRP and white students in 24-25. So I put two boxes here, the baseline of where things are at. What you'll notice is if you look at the benchmarks or the baselines, and you'll see that we did make progress in several areas. However, the bottom of the goal, the box on the far right, we did not meet the goal because we didn't meet all those areas. We did have some significant wins that I want to just highlight because we did have some things that we're pretty proud of as a district, as a staff. So the FRP went from 70 to 78%, so that increased quite substantially, and that closed the achievement gap from 15% to 7%. So it cut that in half. So that didn't meet the goal, but it was, I think, worth noting. Students of color went from 74 to 80, so that also went up, and closed the gap from 9% to 5%. So again, didn't meet the goal, but almost cut that one in half. So again, pretty substantial growth in those two areas, but we didn't quite meet the goal that we had set. Goal number 3, all students are ready for career in college. So for this goal, 95% of Northfield High School grade level cohorts, grades 9 through 11, will be on track for graduation. So the baseline you can see in the middle box there, the results, we partially met this one because as you notice, each cohort, the grade 9 met the 95%. Grade 10 and 11 did not meet that 95. So we met 1 out of the 3 cohorts, met that on track for graduation. And then all students graduate from high school. This is the 4th area, and that is a graduation goal. The Northfield School District will achieve a 4-year graduation rate of at least 95%. So the baseline you can see for 23 was 93% for the public school and 97 for high school. And the difference between the two is the public schools takes into account the high school and the ALC, whereas the Northfield High School is just the Northfield High School. So that's the difference between the two. The far right box, the result. So the 24 4-year graduation rate was 88 for public schools and 95 for the high school. So again, we did not meet the goal, but what I did for that one is break it out a little bit into more detail because it makes a little more sense. It helps explain what was going on there with the data. So there was 44 in 2024 that did not graduate. 25% of those remained in the 18 to 21-year-old STEP program, and so they continued in that program. 30% graduated the next year. They just missed the cutoff for 24 by a month or two. And then 27% are still continuing. So they haven't dropped out, they're still continuing. So if you take those groups out, then the district rate would go up to 96%. So it's kind of a matter of looking at, okay, of those that didn't graduate, what happened to those people? And that's the breakdown a little bit more detailed of what happened and why we went down that year, because we did have more students participate in the STEP program than the year before. And those kind of variables played into that graduation rate going down a little bit. Goal number 5, the final one, prepare students to be lifelong learners. So this one, 24-25 school year, 93% of Northfield Middle School 8th graders will know or have some idea of what they want to do for the vision of their future. And the results is we met this goal with 93%. However, the goal was amended from the original. So the original was a goal that related to being involved in activities. And what happened, this was a little before my time being part of this, but my understanding is that goal was just too hard to gather the data. It was very complicated and complex, and they couldn't get accurate data. So they applied to and got the goal amended to this goal of having 8th graders have some idea of what their future plan is going to be. And so we did meet that goal, but I think it's worth noting that it was an amended goal. It wasn't the original goal that was set with the first CACR plan. So is it correct that the questions wait till the school board meeting?
Right.
Okay, so I'll just go right into the next one. Then we'll come back to questions. So this next one is a 25-26. So you'll be able to see how things changed. A lot of the changes were a result of some really good discussion at Northfield Forward and the perspectives that they brought to the table as far as community members and other staff members. And so we'll go through this 25-26 current year goals that we have set based on 24-25, but also with input to guide that a little bit. So I did mention the vision benchmarks again and school board play, their role in it. This is the reminder slide that 18 people were part of that Northfield Forward meeting in October, where we went over these 25-26 goals, and then they helped amend those, change those, modify those based on the feedback that they gave during that meeting. So again, the 5 areas are the same as the 24-25. So children ready for school, achievement gaps closed, ready for a career in college, students graduate, and prepare to be lifelong learners. So those are the same 5 areas for both plans. So the first one, children ready for school. This one, we changed it a little bit because the first goal, the last year's 24-25, getting ready for kindergarten, we already know those benchmarks that they hit before this process takes place. So we kind of already know the end goal before it begins. So we wanted to do something a little bit different. So this year, the thought is 100%, we're using the 80, 90, 100 framework or thought process that Dr. Hillman has unveiled, I guess, for lack of a better term, this year. And so using that, 100% of kindergarten students will make a half-point growth per week from fall to spring benchmark using the FAST bridge. So it's not just any growth, it's half-point growth per week from fall to spring when they use those 2 benchmarks. So it's a fairly significant amount of growth. It's not just if they make any growth at all. We want them to make some substantial growth. The second goal, all racial and economic achievement gaps between students are closed. This one, again, using the attendance rate for that achievement gap. So the attendance rate for students will be at least 90, and every student will improve their attendance. So this is, again, using that 80, 90, 100 thought process. So we want all students to be at 90%, and we included every student to improve their attendance so that in our thought process of that, every student gets to looking at those subcategories without necessarily having to call them out specifically. Some of the feedback from Northfield Forward is to not call out some groups, specific groups. They like to have that not quite be so direct. And so this way it gets to that same concept that every student's attendance matters, but we're also looking at all students. So that way, if the average is such that some groups are way low and some are way high, the average could be 90, but we want to look at both. The average, everyone's at 90, and every student will improve their attendance. So it's kind of a 2-part goal. Goal 3, all students are ready for career in college. This one, same concept, 95% of Northfield District grade level cohorts will be on track for graduation. The feedback from Northfield Forward that we have added to this goal that makes it different from the last one is we'll look at the 4-year rate, but we will also take into account the grade 12 plus if they are taking a little bit more than 4 years to graduate. So we're going to be dissecting this a little bit more. So we'll look at 4-year for the grade 9, 10, 11 to make sure they're on track for 4. The grade 12, we'll also look at 4-year to make sure they're on track for the 4-year graduation rate. But there's another category that was added based on Northfield Forward's feedback to acknowledge the students that are continuing, not dropping out, but they may take just a little bit longer than 4 years to finish. And so that's where that extra category comes into play. Goal 4, all students graduate from high school. So this one is Northfield High School will achieve a 4-year graduation rate of at least 95%. We did not meet it last year, so we wanted to keep that goal the same. And this one is a little tricky where if you go to that 80, 90, 100, 90%, we didn't feel it was quite high enough because I think we can get higher than 90, but 100% felt like a little bit too much of a reach. And so we wanted to just stay with the 95%. And then goal 5, prepare students to be lifelong learners. This one is a little bit different as well, different but the same. So if you remember, the 24-25 had 8th graders knowing what they were going to do for vision for the future. Northfield Forward thought it was more appropriate to have 11th graders have that goal of knowing what they wanted to do for their future plans, career in college. And so this is moving from 8th grade to 11th grade to capture that career college readiness thought process. All right. And then achievement and integration. I think we're doing good for time here. So achievement and integration plan. So this slideshow has kind of both of them combined. So this has the result A&I plan, but also the current A&I plan. So we just finished a 3-year cycle. So this plan A&I is on a 3 rotation. So every 3 years, it kind of gets re-upped, for lack of a better term. And so we just finished that in 25. And so now this will show the results of that 22 to 25 cycle. And then the 25 to 28 new goals will also be part of this presentation. All right, so the purpose of A&I, there's 4 bullet points that I won't read word for word, but basically to pursue racial and economic integration, increase student achievement, and look at those equitable educational opportunities. That is a mouthful, but that's the plan or the goal of the A&I money. So goal 1, these are from the 22-25 rotation. So goal 1, the percentage of 9th grade through 12th grade FRP students who are credit deficient and not on track within 4 years will decline from 27% to 13%. And the results were 12% of FRP students were credit deficient. So we met this goal. So just to make note, like, I do think it's worth noting, from 27 to 12% is a pretty significant drop. So again, I'm very proud of that as the staff. Goal 1B, percentage of FRP students who are proficient in 3rd grade reading MCA will, from a baseline of 28, will go to 40 by 2025, an increase of 3% per year. So this one, we met the goal. We had, again, started at 28%. We ended up with 51% for the 23-24 school year. So again, we met that goal, going over the 40% benchmark that we had set for ourselves. Goal 2, reduce the percentage of D's and F's earned by FRP students at Northfield Middle School from 31% to 9%. This one we did not meet. However, we did make some significant progress. So 31% to 9% is a very stretch goal. We did make fantastic progress where we went from 31 to 18%. And so we cut that in half, almost, but we didn't quite meet the goal of 9%. So we did not meet that one. And as a result of that, there is some A&I improvement funding that you have to switch over, which I can go into detail if you have questions about that specifically, but this one we did not meet. Goal 3, increase student awareness and understanding of the district data through the CRC. And so we have a collaborative with surrounding districts. We have, see if I can remember them all. It's Waterville, Faribault, Waterville, Legion, Morrison, Morristown, Faribault, Northfield, Tri-City. Yep. And so there's the districts that get together and we have a data summit. And so this has become a bit of an annual tradition. And so what it is bringing all the students from those districts together, not all the students, but a representative group from each district brings students together. And then they go over their district's data, their district's Minnesota student survey, but also other data that they may bring with them. And so they go over what data their district has, and then they try to find solutions to the data that they're seeing. And so it's very much student voice, student ownership process involving students very heavily. Students MC it, students are involved with it. And so we really just set it up and then let the students go through the process. And so with this, the goal was to have 100% of attendees report learning something new about the districts they didn't know, and 90% students agree they generated potential solutions from the data that they saw. And so this one, we did have 100% of students reported something, they learned something new, and 100% of students reported that they had meaningful discussions to generate potential solutions. So we met this goal. And so now if you notice at the very top, we're switching to 25-28. So this is the current cycle. So these are the brand new goals that we just started this year in the fall. Goal number 1, the gap in percentage of NFRP and FRP students who are credit deficient will decrease from a current level of 12% to 6% at the end of the 27-28 school year. And so this one, we don't have progress on these because we just started these goals, but I do have strategies for what we're planning on doing to help get that down. So if you remember, we were in the 30s and we went down to 12. And so now we're trying to cut that down in half again for the next 3-year cycle. And so the strategies, Northfield High School has a success coach, and a middle school has an educational assistant that'll support students through that MTSS process. And the ALC counselor will support at-risk students at the ALC as part of the process to try and get those credit deficient students decreased. Goal number 2, percentage of kindergarten FRP students who are at moderate or significant characteristics for dyslexia will decline from 65% to 25% by the spring of 2028. So again, a healthy stretch goal on this one to try and decrease that by over half. The strategy is being used: Minnesota Reading Corps, internal coach, family navigators, and preschool educational assistant will provide additional support to struggling readers. Goal number 3, we will increase the percentage of high school teachers who consistently implement targeted differentiated strategies for MTSS team from 5 to 20% at the end of the 27-28 school year, as measured by the success coach teacher. So this one, we're trying to have more teachers implement targeted differentiated strategies. Oh, my tongue is getting a little bigger or something. Okay. So strategies: the Northfield High School success coach will work with teachers to develop differentiation support plans to help those students that are at risk of failure. And the success coach will also coordinate relationship focused academic tutoring for small groups to help with those strategies. Goal number 4, increase student awareness and understanding of district data with student peers at the CRC so that the 100% of annual attendees will report something new. So this is essentially the same goal as it was before. We did meet 100% for both of these last time. So hopefully we'll maintain that 100%, but we have the same goal as we did for the last cycle. And so we'll continue to implement that student data center, or student data summit, for Northfield, Faribault, Tri-City, and WEM. And that is the last question. So that's all of them. So let me take a drink. That was a lot of talking.
Okay, so we'll have board questions during the board meeting. Do we have public comment signed up? Okay, so then that's all of that we will accomplish during this public hearing. And then at the board meeting, board members can make comments or ask questions. So I will thank you, Daryl.
Thank you.
And close this public hearing. And I have a motion to close the public hearing. Thank you, Ben. Second. Thank you, Maggie. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned for the public hearing. And we'll be back at 6 for our regular meeting.